Hello, Fearless Gamers, and welcome to another podcast here on Fearless Games. I'm Matt the Vet, and today I'm joined by...
Matt the Clown.
And nobody else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, at least nobody important.
Nobody
That is
important.
true.
Just you two.
So, how are you guys doing?
Tired.
You sound tired.
I'm very tired today.
Have a few announcements before we start chatting away.
Okay.
First off is... we did pick a winner to the War Machine contest.
Yes, we did. I saw that there was an announcement on Facebook, but since I don't do Facebook, I don't know who it was.
It was Trevor Swallow. Forgive me if I pronounced the name wrong. Swallow.
That is how you spell swallow.
Yeah, it's Swallow, yeah.
Okay. Well, he won, and I do apologize ahead of time. I didn't look at the release schedule. I thought the caster that we picked was going to release on July 10th. She doesn't release until next week.
God.
So
Such
we
a
will
jerk.
be, once we have her, she'll be mailed out to you.
Through the speed of general ground mailing.
Well, yeah. And also got the Apocalypse book.
Sweet. I was going to make a joke and I already messed it up. Never mind. How is it?
It's a lot more structured. And they kind of give, in this one, they kind of give a lot of advice in terms of running an Apocalypse game.
Well, that's good. I think that's something that was missing from the last book a little bit.
Like, they basically went, hey guys, this is how we played the Apocalypse game, so we're going to suggest that this may be a way you want to structure your day when playing a game of Apocalypse.
Interesting.
Imperium and Space Marines and Chaos did not get their War Walkers in the book. Only the Eldar, the Orcs, and the Tyranids. But, reading off the Phantom Titans rules, they didn't change much. There's slight rule variations, but the rule variations are in the book, so you just add the Super Heavy Walker rules to him. And for all of you who are wondering, in terms of their hit points or their hull points, you just take whatever structure points they had and give them 3 hull points for every structure point, and bam, you got them up in 6th edition. So your Warhound Titans and Reaver Titans, you can just keep your old books and use the new book as a reference to kind of fix it.
Okay.
Did I just lose everybody?
No, just... Okay. Do you hear me?
Okay, good. Yes, it's just that my Skype is telling me that there is a problem with the call.
Really?
Yes.
Starklord,
It could be my
there?
internet.
Is Starklord here?
No, he is not. So I'm going to take him off and then recall him. So it's pretty interesting. There's a couple of things in it that I do like. There's a couple of things in it that I'm not a big fan of. But all in all, I'm interested to play a game of the new Apocalypse.
Cool.
So we did something interesting this weekend, did we?
We did.
We did. We saw Pacific Rim.
So good.
It is amazing.
So good.
And I have some sad news about it, though.
Yeah, it got beat out by Grown Ups too.
By 4 mil.
Yeah. I mean, we all kind of
So-
saw that coming.
It just baffles me that people would rather go see a bunch of old comedians do vulgar potty humor for 2 hours instead of watching something original-ish.
I can sort of... Here's the thing. Grown Ups 2, being the least cerebral possible film, is marketable to such a huge amount of people in that most people these days, when they go to see a movie, they're not even going for a story. They're going because they want to forget about their crappy lives for an hour and a half to 2 hours. Because, times are rough. comedies are automatically going to be more popular than non-comedies for that very reason, because not everyone is into violence. Something like Pacific Rim, even though it's not even remotely cerebral, like this movie was not a thinking man's movie.
No.
It was still very clearly aimed at a specific target audience, and while it nails that target audience, it's very hard to get any splash damage out of that target. The most likely splash you're gonna get from that situation is like, if I bring my girlfriend, or, I really want to see it, but I'm just a stupid kid, so I gotta bring my mother, or something like that. Those are the most likely scenarios where you're going to get someone who's not necessarily already into giant robots and monsters.
That is true.
So
and
it was unfortunately a recipe for disaster.
But at least it's doing well. I mean, number 3 in the box office for the weekend ain't bad.
I was about to make that same point. At the very least, it's awesome to see that a movie about giant robots and monsters made it to number 3 in the box office at all.
Yeah. But it didn't beat Despicable Me 2.
Now that I'm
okay with that too. I just want to say
2 is at least a good movie, and it's impossible to beat a kids movie in the summer.
Okay.
It's just impossible.
Hold on. I missed everything you guys said because I've been off for the past 5 minutes now?
Mm-hmm.
Roughly. We basically were just, making the discussion of how Grown Ups 2 could beat out Pacific Rim.
Yeah, because it appeals to a wider audience.
It appeals to a wider audience. The standard rule with popular movies or pop culture, it's pop culture aims at lowest common denominator, so it gets the most people.
Right.
Grown Ups 2 is aimed at, I can't say what type of jokes it's in on this channel, and that's what it all is, and people like that, and it sells.
Right. It's that, and I made the point that most people who are going to see a movie in this country aren't even necessarily going for a story anymore. They're going because they want to forget about their crappy lives, and alcohol's expensive.
It
is.
I've been telling people that for years. That's why I say pick up a D&D book. It's cheaper than alcohol in the long run.
It is.
So, I get it, but I don't, I get it, but I don't like it.
Aside from that, let's talk about Pacific Rim a little bit.
I was gonna say that. Let's dive into this movie.
Can we please?
The 4 of us saw this on Saturday. James is not with us, unfortunately, and I know how we all feel, so I want to talk about it.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
now that we're civilized,
since you're initiating deeper conversation, perhaps you should
initialize.
Perhaps you should begin.
I should begin with. I'm going to start with how I feel about the movie overall, and then break it down.
Okay.
Is that right? Okay. Overall, if I had to give it a rating of any kind, I'd give it a B-. And I mean that in the best of ways, because this movie had so much potential, and it hit almost all of it, but it missed a little bit for me. And frankly, if you're just going for giant robots punching giant monsters, it's perfect. I mean, they hit that on the mark. Guillermo del Toro put together a beautiful world. With great actors and great visuals. I didn't care about anyone in the movie because we didn't get any characters.
I disagree.
Well, can I defend my...
You can. Yeah, you go ahead, but I disagree.
We are still going to say that we disagree, thus now you have a reason to defend.
Yes. So the one thing I want to say is basically none of the characters... Now, I want you to separate good acting from a good character, because I know you're looking at but Idris Elba was awesome. He was awesome. And he was the closest person we had to an actual character.
Right,
but everyone else...
I made another point than that on Saturday, so continue, but I'm going to rebut.
No, you can add that rebuttal in now.
Well, it wasn't just Idris Elba's character. In fact, the moment that struck me the most was probably the one character that had the least amount of acting going on. Was the Australian son. I don't want to give anything. I don't want to give anything away. I don't want to give anything away.
He was a very cliche character, though.
The thing is, they're cliche people.
That
doesn't. Just because he's got a cliche involved doesn't mean he's not a character.
Yeah, but he's like the super two-dimensional cliche character. He had a moment, but it could have been better.
He had a moment that took him out of the 2 dimension.
Yeah,
Plus, he's not 2-dimensional.
I would have to agree with the clown on that front, where you could argue that he was very two-dimensional through most of the film, but that one moment, I think, defined the character a lot and turned him into a real character.
Right, exactly. You don't have to be a real character for the entirety of a film to be a real character by the end of the film.
That's true. He showed
That's what's called a
Oh,
dynamic character. That's what that is. That's a dynamic character.
I'll accept that. But I still didn't care about anyone, and I figured out one thing, just one little thing they could have done that made me care more. And I don't want to spoil anything, but it's not a huge point. In fact, they don't even show it, so I'd like to talk about it. So, they have the whole thing. You can pilot it. You can. You can't. You won't. You'll mess up, and then you do something wrong, and whatever. And they had the two of them drift, the main character and the other main character.
Yeah.
Another side thing, I don't remember half the characters' names. That kind of bugs me. Usually I remember character names, and if I don't, not a good sign. But main character, I think his name's Charlie, because I looked it up afterwards, and Mako.
Yeah.
He said her name
Mako.
3 times. I got
Mako.
her name down.
Her name is said more often than anybody else's name.
Yeah, they don't really refer to each other by their names.
It's true. Which, yeah. But basically they have their first drift, their mind meld, whatever, and it goes terribly, and that's cool, fine. But then they have this stupid conversation afterwards that takes up 4 minutes of airtime about, where it's like, it's okay, the first one sucks, the next one will be better. But they never give us the next one. Instead, they're just immediately perfectly fine in their suit the next time we see them kicking much butt, which is cool. But if they took that stupid 4-minute conversation and added like a 5-minute thing with the two of them working it out again, with like her overcoming her stuff and him overcoming his stuff while drifting together.
So you wanted the montage.
No, it didn't even have to be a montage. You could have had, like, going back to how they did her thing with the flashback and seeing her background, which was a great moment of storytelling because they showed us her background instead of telling us it, which is great. Do that again, but him helping her get out of her issue with it, and maybe her helping him with his issue, which it didn't really bring up at all. He just got over it instantly. Would have gave them both more characterization, more background, and I feel would have showed them grow more as characters, and I think would have made them better. It was already a 2-hour and 11-minute movie. You cut out a 4-minute crappy scene, added a 7 to 10 minute longer better scene. I think it would have made the movie much better for me.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd necessarily call that scene crappy, but I will agree that there are certain things that they didn't explore that they very well could have, and I would be very surprised if those aren't going to be explored on the director's cut.
I hope they are. I hope that they do. Also, if they cut out that one scene with him and her, because they could put something better with them in it, because it didn't really grow either character. It didn't. Come on.
It grew their trust within one another. Because it's not like he just went, we screwed up and never addressed it. He went, we screwed up. Let me go, give her a talk of, let me go make sure she's okay.
But I'm saying,
in a sense, though, he went.
Because then we'd.
But there's the thing is also.
I'm saying we can trust each other now.
Well, there's the other thing though is like again one thing that he brought up, like what Matt brought up in an argument is this isn't his first time.
Yeah, no.
So it's quite possible that this wasn't his first time where he had a screw up like this, and so he knows how to address a person who's screwed this up before.
Yeah,
they also didn't have a lot of
show that. That'd be nice.
They didn't have a lot of time to take another chance of, all right, now let's do one more test run to see if we can get through your crazy nonsense, because it was like it felt to me like they had that talk and then they were probably going to try the next day, but the next day everything went straight to hell.
Yeah,
and
but
they just didn't have time.
The thing is, there is not having time for it because test drive. No, Matt. Look, listen to this for 30 seconds.
Go ahead.
They did have time because that had to happen before they could make the suit walk. It can't walk without them agreeing for it to walk. So that all that scene has to happen. Like they have to have their test drive together again, starting it up. So you can have that happen again. It happens every time you get into it. You merge, you start it. They had trouble the first time. The second time they'd have to work it through and get it moving. And that could have also added more tension because then, they might not make it to save the day because they're dealing with their emotional crap.
If that was a scene where it was like that thing, if it was a scene where it was, tension, will it get started to get in there in time? Then okay, but I don't think we needed a whole nother scene just for that.
Well, I feel like the way
character.
I feel like the way you're describing it I'm not saying that scene would have been bad. I'm saying the way you're describing it feels ham-fisted, and I would have been upset if it were in the film in that way.
Well, I'm not a renowned writer, but the basic idea is that basically you have this opportunity that is set in the script and in the storyline and the design of the world that would help us define and understand our characters better, and also it would just work better, because as soon as they showed up, I'm like, well, didn't they have some issues again? They should have had some issues again.
I don't know if they should have had some issues again. I don't know if they should have had some issues
resolve the issue that they had the first time they got in. They didn't resolve it. They just said, okay, we'll do better next time, and they skipped over next time.
And they did.
For focus.
And then they did better next time.
Yeah, but they didn't show us much better.
I think you're looking at the issue that they had as something that was supposed to be some enormous block that you're going to have to work through, when really sometimes people just have a bad day and they wake up the next morning and they don't have the same problem a second time in a row.
Well, the thing is that
I'm just going to write a comment in the description about something that they kind of, in a way, addressed beforehand, which would make me believe it more that it could be possible that she could do it another time without a problem. Because, again, it was her first time with another person, and so she wasn't used to it.
Yeah, but the thing is, she was dealing with a mental trauma. I'm just saying the scene concept, maybe if it's more ham-fisted way I'm saying it, but the scene allows us to fix the one issue I had with the movie, and that was the issue that I didn't feel for the characters because I couldn't really see who they were. They didn't really have any key things about them. And I know James was like, well, they should be stoic. And I'm like, yes, they should be stoic when fine, but we need to see who they are.
I don't necessarily... I don't agree with James's assessment either, that they need to be stoic all the time. I'm just saying I get that you didn't feel for the characters, and I'm sorry. Please let me finish my sentence. Please let me finish my sentence. And I'm sorry for that, but I did. And I feel like maybe this is just a purely subjective scenario where you needed more, but just because one person needed more to connect to the characters doesn't mean the characters are not characters. It just means that one person wasn't able to connect. They were not
characters for you.
I felt for all but maybe one or two of those characters. And not all of them got major emotional moments like that one Australian guy. Yeah. But I still was sitting there. I felt tension. I felt worried for these characters' lives. I think the only characters I didn't feel for at all were the Russians.
They never
those characters were set pieces. The Russians
and the Chinese were set pieces. They were completely like, hey, look, here's our cool robot. Here's the guys that fly. They'll get 3 lines in their vehicle. That's it.
You know what?
They were
every movie.
That's technically fine.
Yeah, they were clearly the characters where you sit there going, okay, let's not get attached to these guys.
Right. So I'm just saying that the major reason I disagree with your assessment isn't because your assessment is wrong. It's because I feel like you're having a subjective issue that is not reflective of the film as a whole.
Well, you have a subjective acceptance of it. I'd like to hear what other people think about it if they watch it. So people, please comment.
Yeah, absolutely. Please, this is going to be a point of contention regardless.
Yeah, because I think
this isn't a scenario where you and I are going to come to a point where we look each other in the eye and go, I agree. Like, it's just not going to happen.
And also to bring up, this is not a situation where this is the last time you'll ever see them on the channel ever again in the same room.
Right? Yeah. No, I'm not going to disown my friend for this one.
We love and hate a lot of similar movies. Yeah. Like, I know he doesn't like Book of Eli, and I like it, and that's fine.
We both hate Book of Eli.
I'm not getting into Book of Eli.
We're not getting into that book. No, I need to sit down with, a defense
If we were going to discuss Book of Eli, on the podcast, I'd need to watch it again because it's been so long.
Ditto.
Okay, if we ever did that, we have to do it Phoenix Wright style.
I object. What?
Yes, objection.
I hate Phoenix Wright, so no.
Okay.
But I guess to finish off with what I feel about it, I know I'm going to perseverate, but
that's not a real word.
Perseverate's a real word. You know it's a real word.
Yeah, then you're pronouncing it wrong.
Perseverate? I don't think so.
Spell it in the chat and I'll look it up.
I can't spell.
Well, then you lose. Anyway, make your point. Go. Say your.
I guess, like, when it came to, like, I tried to feel for the characters, you're right, maybe I could have, and I was trying, because, like, the actors were great, and what they had, they did wonderful with. Like, everything about the movie was spot on for me, except for a couple little minor things, and then I couldn't build any feel for the main characters, like, at all. I mean, I felt a little bit for the Marshal, because he was cool, and that guy's a ridiculously good actor, Idris Elba. But by the end, like, I didn't care about them at all. I'm like, I didn't feel any tension for them. I felt a little bit for, like, are those dudes gonna die when the gorilla shows up? And I'm not gonna leave it at that, but, like, not a lot. Like, just the two main characters. I'm like, they could die, they could live, whatever. And then they added that hint of romance in there, and I'm like, they didn't need that. That was a throw-in line for crap.
It wasn't necessary, but I didn't mind it.
I did
only minded because they got it right at the end, and I'm like, they really didn't need that, but that wasn't a big deal.
But the big thing about that, I felt it went far enough without going ridiculous.
Yeah, it was the right level for the fact that they didn't develop it at all. So
it wasn't like an 80s. It wasn't like an 80s movie where, like, they got out of the Jaeger and they were like, I always loved you, and then they're like kissing and everyone's applauding and there's fireworks in the background and John Cusack has finally made it, you know, like
and
not quite like that.
Gives thumbs up to Tom Cruise and he can be my wingman anytime, none of that stuff.
Right. You know, with Aerosmith in the background.
I will say people should see the movie. It's a crime not to, because I think Guillermo del Toro did such a beautiful job. I hope there's a director's cut, and I hope there's more characters in there because of that. And if there is, it's my favorite movie of all time. Like, that's why I'm upset, because this movie was almost like my favorite movie of all time, and that's what killed it for me. And I'm like, everything.
I want to make one quick final point about. I know it's going to sound awful the way I'm going to put this, but about why I disagree with you. Like, specifically your grade for the movie.
Fine.
I feel as though you are grading the movie as if you were grading an English paper if it were a math test.
It's true. You're
grading this on the wrong You're grading this Scantron on the wrong key.
If it was like grading it versus a kaiju movie, this is perfect. It's great.
Right. And you know what? That's the grade. That's the grading you need to use. That's what it is.
I don't use that grading with it, and this is sad, is because I love Guillermo del Toro so much, and I know he can do amazing things. And he usually does such beautiful things with characters. He does beautiful things with worlds. Like, half the movie I was staring at the background, enjoying and trying to take it all in. But I was also expecting more of the character types that I like.
Well, you have to remember, did he write Pan's Labyrinth?
I think it had something to do with it.
I think he just directed it.
But
I don't think he wrote
a horror
it.
film.
Hold on. I'm going to look it up. Because you know what? For the most part, he's the director, and he has a lot granted, the director has a lot of input, but the script...
Next to the producer.
The script is the script, regardless. Okay, so he did write Pan's Labyrinth. Now, did he write Pacific Rim?
I think he did.
I think he did.
Okay, he was one of the writers for Pacific Rim, whereas he was the sole writer for Pan's Labyrinth. So it's possible that he only had so much to do with the script, and he probably had he was probably the guy who put the good parts of the script in there.
Yeah.
The dialogue in this movie was really solid.
Oh, what dialogue we got was fine. Yeah.
We got a decent amount of dialogue for a kaiju movie, let's be honest.
He was also the producer of Kung Fu Panda 2.
It's a 2-hour and 11-minute long movie. Can't stress that enough. It's longer than a standard kaiju movie. That's why we got enough talking.
Right.
Yes.
But the talking we got was like, I was never sitting there going, nobody would ever say that.
Yeah.
I was never sitting there going, what?
There's one point I actually had a problem with that. Just when the helicopters show up to pick him up, I'm like, not with what he said, but like, really? He knows they're immediately coming for him? Can't they? I just didn't like how that scene was written. I thought that scene
I'm not
right
sure
up
what you mean.
garbage. When after, okay, he just pick him up.
Let's just say, hold on. Before you say this,
yeah.
Fearless Gamers, I would like to make a spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the movie, maybe skip ahead a couple of minutes, because What he's about
I will put a jump.
what he's about to say, I will not be able to understand if he's not specific.
Okay, are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Spoiler.
So I'm looking at this thing on Imager.
Okay.
Are you sending that to us?
Actually, I'm about
No,
to.
I'm marking the spoiler alert ending.
Yeah, we done with spoilers. Go see the movie. It was wonderful. That's what you thought in the comments.
Don't I ever get to say what I thought about the film?
No.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Say.
I'm going to
Say.
say, I would feel that, one, I went in there expecting giant Gundams beat up Godzilla monsters, and that's exactly what I got in this film. I loved the subtle hints and, like, references to other kaiju movies and other giant robot films, and I felt that this was essentially something that was totally different from something that I've seen before without being totally alien, and definitely anyone out there who's big into sci-fi, big into crazy scientific stuff, and all that fantasy stuff should definitely see this movie, despite everything the Stark Lord has said about it.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you on that. Even though I've said some negative things to it, I still like the movie, and I still think people should see it. It's a great popcorn flick. Also, you should watch the TGS featurette on it. Or whatever it's called. You know what I'm talking about, Matt.
The what?
The game.
Oh, yeah, with like Game Grumps and all them. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was
And just
that was
another
enjoyable.
quick thing, apparently he has announced a Hellboy 3.
Yes, he has. Because we all
Good.
just looked at IMDb to see what he wrote, and it says it on there.
It's gonna be so good.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
The Hellboy.
And apparently he did all the Hobbit movies.
He helped with the screenplay. He was actually going to direct them originally because, the Tolkien estate was mad at Jackson for not doing the Lord of the Rings justice, even though I think he did a good job. But then Guillermo, being Guillermo, takes forever to do anything. So I guess they got tired of waiting for him, or he decided not to and just went on with screenwriting. I forget why he ended up not directing. But they brought Jackson back.
Did you notice what he's executive producing for the third time in a row?
No.
No idea.
I'm on his writing
Kung
booth.
Fu Panda.
3, yeah, that's
cool.
fine.
There's going to be a third Kung Fu Panda. That is amazing.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
now we
go
get to
over
be
that.
Kung Fu Panda Dad. If I didn't just spoil this end of the second movie. Oops.
You know, you could have avoided making that a spoiler if you didn't point out that it was a spoiler.
It's true.
Granted, Kung Fu Panda 2 came out years ago, so we don't have to mark that one.
Statute of limitation.
If you haven't seen Kung Fu Panda 2 by now, you're either not gonna see it, or sorry.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of statute of limitations on spoilers, Matt, years ago you saved my butt with that phrase. Thank you. With
Did I?
with
The statute of
Audra.
limitations. Which one?
When I finally revealed the ending of the 6th Harry Potter book 5 years after it was over. Or
Oh
after
yeah,
it
no,
came out. I said the thing that everyone knew. I don't want to do it again, even though it's even longer now.
Yeah.
Just for a few people.
Dumbledore.
Thanks, Matt. So I said that as a joke because we'd all been reading or read the books. The book had been out for several years, and she was about to, go nuclear on me, and Matt's like, whoa, statute of limitations, you can't get mad at him for that. It's been years, come on. Even the movie's already out, and you should know by now.
Dude, you know when the 5th movie came out and she almost killed me for spoiling the death of Sirius moments before it happened?
What?
Did I tell you about that? We were at
no.
the movie, and I could have sworn she knew because it was when the movie came out, so the book's been out for ages. So as they find themselves at that piece of in the set where Sirius eventually bites it.
The veil.
Yeah, I sit there and go, oh, poor Sirius. Just as a thing, because sometimes you say something. And she gives me this look, and I'm like, what? And after the movie, she's like, I can't believe you spoiled that for me right before it happened in the movie. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? It became a fight. It was an actual fight. I was like, read the books, nerd. She was mad. It was almost as good as when Biz spoiled Ron on
the sixth book.
Yeah, on the sixth book. Ron was so butthurt. Oh, so butthurt.
And to my defense, on that one, other people were talking about it already, and he didn't say a word.
Yeah, no, Ron's dumb.
Like, he had about a good 2 minutes to warn people that he didn't read it yet.
Yeah. By the way, that Imgur thing you put up, pretty snazzy.
Oh, what's this?
It's an Imgur post that breaks down how all Pixar movies could very likely be in the same universe.
Uh-huh.
But it's also fairly long and involved, so I don't want to, like, read it, you know.
Yeah. I was reading while paying attention.
Yeah.
Or trying to, that's why it took me so long to read it.
But now I found a picture of Portuguese fried pumpkin cakes, and boy, do I want all of them.
You better be careful what you get that with. Oh wait, no, Portuguese food's fine. I'm thinking something else. Ignore me.
Ignore me!
Oh wow, I just found a thing that gives the ages of some of the main characters of the Lord of the Rings in at the beginning of the Fellowship. Gandalf was 54,910 years old. I didn't know that. Looks good for his age.
That's an very interesting theory.
Yeah.
I approve. So, what were we talking about?
Now we're finally done with it. We're done saying go watch Pacific Rim, and then spoilers.
Are we? Oh, wait. Are we done?
Yeah.
Really saying go watch Pacific Rim?
Well, I'll never be done saying go watch Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see my Facebook? You don't go on Facebook. I was having a conversation with my friend Alicia about Pacific Rim after coming home, and she was like, "What's your Jaeger name?" And I was like, "I don't know." And so she starts like giving me like examples of like the Jaeger names that her friends are going with.
Mm-hmm.
So like her Jaeger name is Diesel Ghost or something. I don't know, it's a thing. So I decided that my Jaeger name would be Trolling Thunder. and the signature move would be the Last Nerve.
Now, here's a question. How did they name the Jaegers? That's what I know. Now we're back to talking about, but we're not going to spoil anything. I'd like to know how they named them.
You know, they just went with... It feels like somewhere between boat names and racehorse names and band names.
Yeah.
Like,
they're all a two-word
like
name.
Gypsy Danger, Cherno Alpha, Striker Eureka, Crimson Typhoon, and I think my favorite one that was only in the movie for a split second during like the opening cutscene, Romeo Blue.
That's an awesome name. Right.
You could miss
Yeah,
that one
yeah.
if you weren't paying attention.
That was like Romeo Blue versus in the montage in the beginning, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yep.
I'd like to think that both
They're
words,
like Mega
one
Man
comes from
villain
each
names.
pilot.
Yeah, they're like Mega Man villain names too.
I'm just going to pretend that each word is like a pilot name, or one is from one pilot, one's from the other, and they each kind of define the character in some way. But that doesn't make sense for Gypsy Danger, because, spoiler, not going to say it. At least in the beginning it makes sense, I guess.
It's more likely that they designate a unit name, probably based on the guys who built it, and engineers are cool like that sometimes.
Yeah. I mean,
you know, it's
look at some of the names of like our spaceships.
Right.
Every spaceship's named Enterprise. If I had a Jaeger, it has to have Enterprise somewhere in the name.
You're
Just
such
saying.
a nerd.
I am. No, it's not even a nerd thing, it's an American thing. First American ship was the Enterprise, which we stole from the British. Not even kidding.
So your Jaeger name would be Short Stack Enterprise.
I am short. I don't really want the short part brought up, please.
Too late.
Yeah. No, I don't care. What I would like to know is, there are 4 Fearless, you realize.
Yes.
I would like to know who should be Jaeger pilot with whom.
Oh, God. Here's the thing. In my head, the canon that I created for the Trolling Thunder Jaeger is that I really only have a co-pilot for a couple hours at a time because people keep quitting. Because they just don't want to drift with me more than once.
Well,
I don't want to be in that monster's head. Get me out of here.
Isn't that exactly what I said to you Saturday night?
That's what everyone... James said it. You said it. I feel like they'd need to find a dog. Like, I need to have like a really smart chimp or like a dog or something to co-pilot.
No,
me.
we can't hook a chimp up to you because it'll become like you, and then we have a belligerent crime scene. That's not safe.
At least the dog can be muzzled and distracted by treats.
And when it humps people's legs, it's deemed cute or slightly annoying.
I'm trying to picture a chimp humping someone's leg, and it's hilarious.
It's dangerous,
Oh,
man. That's not funny at all. Like, that person's going to get killed. Like,
It's funny if it's not me. It's funny if it's not me.
No, it's only horrifying because chips can rip people apart so easy.
Yeah, they do.
But so yeah, I don't know. I feel like none of us are truly compatible with one another to pilot a Jaeger.
Probably.
I feel like there would just be 4 separate Jaegers.
I can get behind that because I don't want to share.
I like sharing. I'm a big team player. I'll team up with anybody.
Then you can team up with me.
I don't know if your strategies would be sound. But you know how to fence. So that's good.
And I've never lost to you.
Have we ever actually fought?
Yes.
We fought in class, didn't we?
Yes, we did a couple of times.
Yeah.
And you needed 2 foils and you still couldn't defeat me.
The issue I had when we were fencing is I was too defensive back then. Even the teacher and you pointed out, like if I actually pushed my attacks, it would have hit you 90% of the time that I, pulled back.
And that is why you failed.
Yeah, now I fight with sword and dagger half the time, or 2 swords, and I don't pull back anymore. I stab people till they die, regardless of whether my arms get stabbed or not. I don't care.
Such is the light of an uncivilized braggart.
I believe in the writings of Capoferro, and I like 15th century Italian swordsmanship.
Can I just say, every time you say Capoferro, which Fearless Gamers is surprisingly common for him.
It really is. It's like my go-to.
Every time you say Capoferro, I think you're saying Capoeira.
What's a capoeira again?
Capoeira is that, it's that martial art that's like more of a dance.
The Brazilian thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it started martial art, and then it became a dance to avoid getting, like, imprisoned or whatever for learning your cultural martial art or something.
Yeah, it's a thing.
The only thing I think of when he says that is like, I try horribly failing to remember what it was that Indigo said was a counteractive to that style.
Agrippa.
Agrippa.
Which there are no extant writings of his, unfortunately. Also,
Which he has.
they're technically looking at medieval or Renaissance or whatever, old school fencing. Capoferro is basically the Bruce Lee of Italian fencing, where he's just like, be efficient, punch this guy in the face if you have to, don't worry about it. He's going to kill you if you don't.
Fight a guy.
Dude, he wouldn't be against it.
No, that's one of my favorite of Bruce Lee's teachings. Like, you have teeth, right? Use them.
Exactly. That's what Capoferro says. Like, the sword's not your only weapon. Tackle the dude if you have to. It usually ends up turning into wrestling anyway, so maybe you should learn some of that too.
Oh, you people. You crazy people.
And our love for ancient styles of stabbing stuff?
And stabbing each other, it seems.
So staying on topic, apparently the Pacific Rim game was released on Xbox Live and PlayStation Network. I have yet to get it because it's so hot in the room I keep my PlayStation.
If the Kinect was a little bit sharper, I wouldn't mind that being a Kinect game.
I would. But I'm not huge on the motion controls of this generation.
I just hope, this is sad, but like most movie video games are terrible. I hope this one's okay. I mean, if it's not...
It was apparently made by the same people who made the Real Steel game, which was apparently pretty good.
Really?
From what I've heard.
By the way, I love Real Steel 2. That's like a great fighting movie. That's way better than Rocky, because it's Rocky with robots.
Are we gonna get a sequel to that? Like,
I don't know.
I heard there was going to be one.
I haven't seen anything on the internet about it, personally. I don't think it's going to happen. It'd be great if they did, but...
You know what's coming out that hopefully will be awesome is the new Godzilla movie.
Yes. Is that an American movie?
Yeah,
it's an American-made,
but they seem to be more
Japan favored.
They seem to be more keeping influence from the original films.
That's good. Well, I will say again one thing. Now that we've seen Pacific Rim, we've seen that Americans, or at least people from
we've seen that
hemisphere,
Western people,
because Guillermo del Toro is Mexican, he's not American. Whatever. Can make a kaiju movie, so maybe Godzilla will be good this time.
Yes. And for anyone who tries to defend the Broderick film, I'm sorry, but we all disagree.
I actually talked to my dad about that film today. And my dad's like, that was a horrible film. I'm like, yes, it was. He's like, I can't believe they made that. Because we were talking about Pacific Rim. He's like, so it's a Godzilla movie? He's like, do you mean like Godzilla or that terrible one? I'm like, I mean like Godzilla.
No, we don't speak of the Broderick film.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad movie. I remember seeing it in theaters.
Yes, I did too, and I enjoyed it until I realized everything that was wrong with it.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. You ever have that moment when you're watching a movie, and then as soon as the movie hits the credits, or maybe the next day you realize, that movie was terrible?
Yeah, I've had moments where I enjoy a film until later on, and then when I go, you know what, that movie was garbage.
Yeah, that happened to me with Sin City. Like, I think I enjoyed it somewhat in the theaters, and afterwards I'm like, I never want to watch that movie again, because I tried to watch it again after that. I'm like, this movie was terrible. Why did I like it? I guess it was because it was on the big screen and it looked really cool.
That was a film where I'm glad I saw it once, and I won't go out of my way to see it again.
Which movie? Which movie?
Sin City.
You know, Sin City... I've seen it a couple of times. I've seen it more times than I should have. I think I own it. And, you know, it's...
We don't hate you for that.
We don't.
It's one of those movies where it's all about the visual style.
Yes.
And the visual style makes very clear and unapologetic decisions that I can appreciate, but unfortunately, because they put so much emphasis on the visuals, even with the really good cast that they got, like they got a hell of a cast,
they did.
The rest of the direction suffers, and because the rest of the direction suffers, the performances suffer, and because the performances suffer, the movie just overall suffers.
Yeah. Another movie like
I don't think I own it. I don't think I'll ever watch it again.
Yeah.
But I've seen it like 4 or 5 times.
I watched it the first time in theaters, like, that was pretty good. And then every time I tried to watch it after that, I couldn't make it more than 3 minutes into the movie. I'm like, no, I'm done. Every time. Another movie that happened to me with was Scary Movie 2. I saw that movie in theaters. I was laughing through the entire movie, and as soon as it hit the credits, like literally, as soon as it said, you know, the end or whatever the end is, I stopped laughing, went straight-faced, and went, why was I even laughing at that? Like, really confused. And that was the last time I watched any of the scary movies. I realized the movie just wasn't good.
I'm judging you.
You can judge me. You're allowed to judge. It's a free country.
You're allowed to judge, for you are one of the judges.
No, he's not a judge. Don't give him a lawmaker, too.
He is.
No.
He has a lawmaker, and he has a lawmaster.
I'm allowed to judge because I am an American.
I don't think that gives you the right to judge.
It does. Didn't you notice all the judges in the movie were American?
I thought that was what jury duty was all about.
Hold on. Matt, you've destroyed me. And all the judges in the movie were American is because it's in America. But no one can see this, but Matt just put up a picture on Imgur that has a bunch of hobbits following. Is that Ezio or is that Altair?
Yeah, it's definitely Ezio.
It's Ezio.
It's definitely Ezio.
It's Ezio.
Altair didn't have any. Altair didn't have any brown
Let me see.
or red.
I'll be the third one.
It's Ezio.
Yeah, that's Ezio.
And it just says at least somebody is taking the hobbits to Isengard. Oh, it's fantastic. Oh my god,
Yeah, he'd be the only one who'd actually get them there.
They got there.
No,
Yeah, but
he's not the
everybody-
only one. Captain America would get them there.
But
Captain do
every
it.
single person in that whole scenario that said, I'm gonna get you there, eventually ditched them.
You
or
know
got
who would?
ditched by them.
You know who would get the Hobbits to Isengard?
Who?
Gypsy Danger.
Yes.
He could, or it could.
Faster than the Eagles.
Let's not bring up the Eagles.
Hey,
But no,
hey, Stark Lord.
Yeah?
Hey, Stark Lord.
Yeah?
Eagles.
What about them? They're a mediocre band. Yeah, I said it.
It's just the Eagles were a plot device, and even Tolkien knew he screwed up by including them.
And he tried to explain it away, and they're technically the embodiment of angels, they're too busy, they're not supposed to heavily affect the human world, or the mortal world.
It wasn't even that. It's just that they were stealing villagers' sheep, and they didn't want to piss off the villagers by showing up.
Yeah.
They didn't want the villagers to shoot at them. That was their reason in the
Yeah.
Hobbit.
And you know
The
what?
reason-
That's an okay reason. I'm okay with that.
But that's the reason the Hobbit. In Lord of the Rings, they had to be a little bit more grandiose. Because it's like, why won't you fly them to save the world? Oh, we're not supposed to meddle in mortal affairs. They called the Gandalf on that one. Only, Gandalf breaks the Gandalf rule all the time because he's Gandalf.
He's like Uatu the Watcher.
Yes, exactly. Uatu the Watcher is Gandalf. I guarantee it.
Who is Uatu the Watcher?
He's a character in Marvel who is a
the Watcher.
Yeah, he's a member of a race of creatures called Watchers, and they're just supposed to keep an eye out and see what's happening and catalog everything that's going on in the universe and never interfere. And Uatu has a really, really big reputation for constantly interfering.
Which brings up the question, who watches the Watchers?
There was I think there was one, alternate universe thing in Marvel where Uatu, I think he got murdered by the other Watchers because they were sick of his nonsense. They were like, "Stop it! You've broken stop it! You've broken the law. Choose to pay your fine or serve your sentence."
And he'd choose neither.
So yeah.
So I think that's enough for one night.
Yeah, I all I can think about is Pacific Rim, and we've already talked that one for an hour. So
Yes.
yeah, I think
And
maybe we
so,
should.
Yes. Anyone who hasn't, see it. If you've already seen it, see it again, and get out your wallets because tomorrow Evil Dead comes out on Blu-ray.
Oh, golly.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of stoked for that because I didn't get to see that, so I'm probably just gonna buy it.
It is so
I
good,
didn't
and it was so good, and the thing after the credits was even awesome.
Oh, gosh. So yes, everyone see Pacific Rim and tell us what you think about it in the comments. Tell us the name of your Jaeger if you would drive a Jaeger. Jaeger. Wow, I said Jaeger. Jaeger bomb. Sorry.
And
that's it for me.
So, with that,
now.
Thank you all for listening. Until next time, Fearless Gamers, this is Matt the Vet.
And this is Matt the Clown.
Say goodbye.
Bye.
No, Stark Lord, say goodbye.
And the Stark Lord.
Wow.
Take care.
I did. Hello?
Bye.
Take care. Bye.